nautical academies where young men destined for the British Mercantile Marine and Royal Navy are the cadets, whose ages range between 13 and 17, are under naval discipline and are therefore awakened in the morning by reveille. Reveille has sounded and the cadets have turned out. Well, most of them have, although this young man appears to want an extra 5 minutes. But one of his friends soon put a stop to that idea and literally does turn him out. As soon as the cadets get up, their day starts in earnest, for there's plenty to do before studies commence. An early morning refresher is the first thing. The boys have a proper wash and shower after their exercises and before dressing for breakfast. Come on, you can still catch them up. Very soon the cadets have changed into flannels and sweaters. This rig is for morning PT. There is some excuse for the rush as the PT instructor is waiting for them on the parade ground. And if anyone's late, it means cleaning guns or some other kind of fatigue duties. Moisture slacks there. The physical education of these lads is considered very important, and the same care and attention that is devoted to their mental training is brought into the building of healthy bodies. One day, when they're taking a watch on the bridge of a ship, fighting a howling gale for perhaps 24 hours at a stretch, they'll be thankful for this development of their physique and stamina. Coordination of mind and muscle, together with good teamwork, these are the goals for which the instructor aims. And when the exercises are over, off to the shower rooms and breakfast, and don't they look as though they'll make short work of both. After breakfast, and dressed in the uniform of Cadets, Royal Naval Reserve, to which service they are gazetted on entry to the college, they march to their classrooms. Incidentally, this slow marching routine is always employed when a division is marching up or down steps. The full training takes about 4 years to complete. During this time, the cadets have to pass through various examinations to achieve promotion. This is one of the Seamanship rooms, where the younger cadets are taught the mysteries of rope tying and splicing. This is a minor part of their training, but it is nevertheless important because although these cadets will one day become officers, and as such will not tie knots, they must know how each job should be done, and what's more important, be able to do it. Leaving the junior class, we find a more advanced group taking sextant lessons. This is, of course, more in an officer's line and an integral part of navigation. The actual principles of a sextant are much too complicated to explain quickly, but broadly, the sextant is placed to the eye and facing the sun. By manipulating a mirror, the sun, by an optical illusion, is brought down from the sky and placed exactly on the line of the horizon. The angle is checked on the sextant, and by working out the time and referring to mathematical charts, the exact position of the ship can be found. This is the chart room, where the more advanced cadets can work out positions of imaginary ships, plot courses to far-distant ports, allowing compensations for strong currents and winds. Here, the young officer can navigate on paper a ship into any harbor or port in the world and know exactly from his charts where the danger spots are likely to be. In fact, the 101 intricacies of navigation are unfolded before him. During the day, the cadets change their rooms. This is to enable them to use and become familiar with different types of equipment that are necessary in their work. Now you're for it. Included in the subjects that come under general education are physics and chemistry. The whole essence of the training at this college is not so much that the subject should be learnt parrot fashion, as it were, but more as a subject that enables the cadet to think correctly and be able to reason his solution out and know that he is right by that reason. In other words, they teach the boy to think and not just learn. That is why character training forms an important part of the tuition of the college, because the cadet, when he's an officer, will be obliged to work on his own initiative, and on his decision, and his decision alone, will rest the lives of his fellow men. So at alarm man, together with other cadets unfatigued, is being reprimanded. Well, he's got to be taught that punctuality to an officer is vital to the efficiency of his ship. Whilst our young friend is learning that lesson, we find our way to the Seamanship room. This is perhaps one of the most interesting features of the college, for here is represented in miniature nearly every ship of importance in the Royal Navy, from cruisers to mighty battleships, together with the latest types of aircraft carriers. The cadets are working on a relief map. This is an exact replica of Portsmouth Harbor. Apart from the town itself being represented, the harbor, too, is scaled in detail, complete with buoys and lights, and the sea is shaded correctly to represent the different depths. The models are occupying the same positions as that of the home fleet when the King reviews them. The instructor is showing the cadets the correct procedure of reviewing the fleet. The royal yacht, accompanied by its attendant craft, makes its way up and down the line. This is, of course, a very advanced class, learning the more complicated rule of the road. But these ships and maps are also ideal for teaching the younger cadets the rule of the road as applied to the river and on entering port. The models we have just seen are made by the cadets themselves in their own workshops. They spend the greater part of their leisure hours constructing them. Not only are the ships made, but the relief maps as well. This young cadet is reconstructing the naval action at Zeebrugge and is in the final stages of painting it. It will soon be ready for service and study. Other cadets, whose interest lies more with actual ships, are allowed to choose the model they wish to make. This young man has picked a luxury liner. He is perhaps destined for the merchant service. This other young gentleman has chosen a destroyer, obviously a future naval officer. Whilst this other model is a small cargo vessel, similar to the tramp steamer type. To a man whose life is the sea, signaling is a very necessary accomplishment. Although nowadays, of course, most messages are transmitted by wireless. But the old method of using flags or even semaphore is still important. On the command, to stations at the double, the cadets run to the semaphore apparatus, the cadet in charge reads out the message, and the signalers send it out. Whilst this is being done, the instructor gives the other cadets a message to be sent out by flags. Quick teamwork and plenty of practice is the key to efficient signaling. The message ends with the code pennant going up. But the part of the curriculum that appeals to the cadets most is at 11:30, or rather 7 bells tea time, for then it's all hands to the canteen. With that short break over, the cadets return once more to their instructors. This class is reported for rope climbing. The assembling of gear is an important detail, as good teamwork and quick response to orders are essential. For the cadets, rope climbing is just good fun, but it is also a necessary part of their training. For although an officer is not expected to go climbing about the rigging of his ship, one never knows when a man's life may be dependent upon the ability to climb a rope quickly. Another part of the general training, which does not at first glance appear to be very important to a seaman, is fencing. But it is again what the subject teaches rather than the subject itself. It is just one more means of developing the body, the eyes, and the nerves. Once more, coordination of mind and muscle is practiced. A quick thrust, which is more quickly seen than parried, it brings to the fore the ability to think and act quickly. Two vital necessities to an officer. We have seen how these cadets are taught the main principles underlying seamanship, but at the college they are also given the opportunity of sailing in different types of small vessels, for they have a splendid reach of the River Thames at their disposal. Their training on the river is, of course, elementary, but even so, it does give them a good working knowledge of the difficulties of navigation and the opportunity of putting into practice the rule of the road that they have learnt in theory. is composed mostly of sailing vessels, with 1 or 2 rowing boats, a 56-foot motor launch, sailing dinghies, gigs, and skiffs. But the pride of the fleet is the converted naval cutter, which has been rigged as a full-masted brig. She is manned by 7 cadets and commanded by an instructor. The orders are given in the strict naval manner and must be responded to as such. For it is no easy matter navigating her in such a narrow strip of water with such a good breeze following. Coming upriver just behind the brig is the 56-foot motor launch. The river appears to be a bit congested at the moment, but fortunately the wind has dropped down a bit and the launch can pass fairly safely. She is equipped with full navigation instruments and thus affords the cadets invaluable experience in handling a fairly large boat in narrow waters. The more advanced cadets are allowed to sail their own dinghies up and down the river. This, apart from giving them sound practical experience, tends also to develop initiative and self-confidence. Thus, our officers of tomorrow are given their preliminary training in seamanship. And then dawns the day they have so eagerly been awaiting, graduation day. It is the day when those who have passed their examinations are gazetted from junior cadets to the Royal and the Merchant Navy. The captain, with his commanding officer, takes the formal report from the chief cadet captain, and he is then ready to inspect. As the cadets stand to attention, we feel with them their inward excitement. For today is the climax to 4 years' hard work, 4 years of studying and still more studying. And today they emerge as worthy successors to those that have gone before. With the inspection over, the captain walks back to the saluting base. It is a great moment for him and his men, for it is the cadets' farewell salute to their captain before going to sea to climb the next rung in the ladder in the service of the sea. so the cadets march away to their destiny, some to join the Royal Navy, others the British Mercantile Marine. And we know deep in our hearts that as they go on and up through life, they will keep alive those traditions that have made this England glorious. To the men of tomorrow, to England's future officers, carry on!